Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and we have a very exciting day today. This is the first time we've had another figure from this company on the channel since its initial figure that I had reviewed, which was a Velociraptor a while back, kind of modeled after a Jurassic Park style Velociraptor, but not exactly. But this figure is from Dazmers Toys, and the initial figure, the Raptor figure that they had released, I was extremely impressed with. Completely blown away with how nice the figure was in person. So I have been very much so eagerly awaiting the newest releases from this company, and specifically this one because being a Carnotaurus, I am a gigantic nerd for Carnotaurus, so I knew I wanted to get a hold of this one from day one, and I'm really happy to now have it here to take a look at. And I must say, just like the Velociraptor, it is very impressive in person. Really cool looking paint scheme, very similar to the Dinosaurius Sideshow version 2 Carnotaurus, but also a really cool looking sculpt, kind of in a little bit of a crouching position, looking like maybe it's in mid-battle or something along those lines. But a really cool looking figure overall, so let's go ahead and get a closer look at it right now. So looking at the head sculpt of the Carnotaurus, you can definitely tell straight away that as far as the actual scientific accuracy department of the Carnotaurus goes, it's not an accurate Carnotaurus. Definitely got its own very unique look, but again, not even taking scientific accuracy into question here with the figure. It looks really nice, and the actual detailing up here on the head is really beautifully done. Very nice skin texturing throughout the entire head sculpt of the Carnotaurus. You could see some osteoderms and stuff picking up here and there, and some really nice paintwork. You could see a lot of variation of paint to the figure and to the head sculpt. You can see the nostrils sculpted out really nicely right there. They are elaborated with a little bit of a darker coloration. You can also see some more variation of color, a little bit of a lighter like brown and some darker colors right there, even like a black right above the mouth here. And you can also see a black in the palate area. Really nicely painted eye. You can see that the eye is kind of surrounded by a little bit of a darker coloration to elaborate the eye, and the eye is painted with a blue and then given a black pupil. Looks really good, and I like that they've kind of highlighted the area back here as well, like the palate, and then back here and then down here. They've just highlighted a lot of areas with that black. It looks really cool the way they've done that, and gives it some really nice paint variation. The skin flap here to the inside of the mouth also sports some really nice sculpt and detail to it. Inside the mouth itself, you can see that there is some nice detailing in there. As we turn it, you can definitely get a good idea of that. Some nice variation of color. I like that it starts as a white and then transitions to like a pinkish coloration in there. And then you have a tongue sculpted out as well, which is a darker red. Looks pretty cool overall. Nicely painted teeth. I like that the teeth are kind of painted with a brown, and then they painted the white over top. Looks really cool, and also helps to elaborate the teeth of the Carnotaurus, I think, quite nicely. Really cool looking. You can also see the horns up here. Those trademark Carnotaurus horns are really nicely painted, and I like that they transition from this nice white to, again, a little bit of a brown the closer you get to the head. Looks really nice in that aspect as far as the paintwork goes. Looking up here at the top of the head of the Carnotaurus, you can see some more really nice skin detail, and you can also see some of those trademark Carnotaurus osteoderms pick up. Some nice black coloration that starts out kind of in a stripe along the middle of the head and then turns into stripes that run along the side of the Carnotaurus. Coming down the body, you can see some really nice creasing going on here in the neck region of the Carnotaurus, as well as those ridges and osteoderms that follow down along the Carnotaurus, which is something we are very much so accustomed to when it comes to Carnotaurus. You almost always see that, and you can see that the head has a very nice left turn to it, so you can really see how beautifully the skin is bunching up and kind of wrinkling the skin due to the head pushing the skin in that direction. Very nice attention to detail on the part of Dazmers Toys. You can also see some hanging skin here in the throat, as well as some really nice skin detail down there on the underside of the dinosaur as well. Moving back here into the body, you can slightly make out the shoulder blade. You can also see that very nice Carnotaurus arm sculpt, nicely elaborated fingers here. They've kind of given the blackish coloration out here on the fingers to elaborate that area. You can also see some more black stripes that run down here. They've also dry brushed the underside quite beautifully to bring that detail out. You can see some more stripes throughout the body. They just kind of show up. I mean, you can see there's definitely a nice line of them down the back, which looks really cool, but you can see they just kind of show up randomly in certain areas as well on the figure. Some nice skin detail here in the stomach region as far as kind of like creasing and everything going on down there. Beautiful, very smooth transition between colors right there. You can see as I turn it, that looks very nice the way they've painted the figure as far as the transitioning between the two colors. Up here you can sort of make out the hip bone, but not too much, but you can definitely see the very nice muscle tone there to that thigh. That thigh is very large, and the Carnotaurus kind of crouching, so it's really flexing the muscles here in the legs, and you can really see that shown beautifully within the sculpt, especially right there. You can see that calf muscle is 100% bulging right there as far as the tensing within that leg. Really nicely done. You can see the kneecap here in the front of the leg coming down here into the foot sculpt. A nice creasing again in the skin there of the leg. Beautiful foot sculpt down here. Really nicely elaborated are the scoots that run down the toes with a darker coloration. There's a few paint chips on mine, but that's not anything too bad. The nails appear to be just the same color as the body. I feel like it actually looks kind of cool the way they've done that, just because the toes are elaborated with that darker coloration, so then the coloration looking similar to the body actually does look kind of nice out there at the end of the feet. Coming back up here into the tail area, as we lead out into the tail, you can see the skin detail here really nicely as the legs pulling forward, stretching the skin. You can see a few wrinkles there. You can see the underside also sports some really beautiful detailing down here. It almost appears as though we have a cloaca present as well. And then moving back out into the tail, that tail is really nice and long, has a nice curve to it, but also sports some beautiful skin texture, really nice striping. Again, that coloration, I really love that kind of reddish orange type of a coloration that we have here on the body of the Carnotaurus. And then you can see that really nice dry brushing here on the underside, which brings the detail out of the tail really beautifully on the underside. And these osteoderms, like ridges that run along the Carnotaurus, are painted really nicely with a whitish coloration, so they all kind of pop and look really, really cool overall. Looking at the opposing side of the head, again, really nicely sculpted, really nicely painted over here as well. Not taking accuracy into my feelings on the figure overall, I still think it looks extremely, extremely nice. Really nice detailing as we move down the neck. You can see, again, lots of really nice skin movement being shown throughout the sculpt of the Carnotaurus in the neck region. Really nice creasing here in the shoulder area on this side as well. And you can just see that this arm is kind of pushed back a little more so than this one. And you can really see how nicely done the skin detail is and how the skin is reacting to that movement of the arm. Beautiful skin texture over here. You can pick up on some osteoderms here and there every so often on the figure. Again, some more of those stripes showing up here and there. And then we come back here and again to the crouching leg. You can see that the leg is crouching. So once again, we have really nice musculature displayed there. Another little paint chip, but I don't think that's anything too bad. I could probably touch it up if I choose to. But again, we have the stripes that continue to run down the leg. Really cool looking. Beautiful foot sculpt over here as well. And actually, looking at the toenails, I think they actually look really nice. And they do appear to have a gloss coat on them as well. So I'm actually really quite liking the way that they painted those toenails. And again, just like we had seen on the previous side, it's kind of stretching the skin. You can see some really nice skin movement as we run out the length of that tail. Beautiful, beautiful paint job. Really cool looking sculpt. Again, not the most accurate Carnotaurus in the world, but still a really cool looking Carnotaurus figure nonetheless by Dazmers Toys. As far as a size on the figure, for a length from the head there, the snout to the tail, it is actually really quite large. So you're looking at about 16 inches or around 40 centimeters for a length. And then for a height, I guess if we go to the head here, we look at the head, we are going to see it at about 5 inches or about 12 and a half, closing in on 13 centimeters. And then for the tail, and it actually does stand quite nicely, even though it seems like it keeps falling over because I'm messing with it so much, but 5 inches, actually, we'll go about 5¼ inches or a little over 13 centimeters. But again, being in this crouching position, and the figure itself is actually kind of one of them soft, squishy figures. So as a whole, it has that really soft, squishy feel, and I'm surprised that it actually stands really well for being a figure like this in a crouching position. Definitely nicely done on the part of Dazmers Toys. But for a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon, our usual suspects for size comparisons, next to our Dazmers Toys Carnotaurus. And you can see next to these figures right here, again, what I was talking about when I stated that the Carnotaurus does have some pretty darn significant size. You should really be able to tell that here with these figures. And again, it really quite dwarfs poor little Muldoon over there, but even the Papo Rex, which is a pretty darn good-sized figure, pretty big figure, is pretty darn small next to this Carnotaurus. So this Dazmers Toys Carnotaurus figure is 100% awesome, just like the Velociraptor was. Again, the Dazmers Toys line doesn't seem to strive for accuracy, and I'm okay with that. They just kind of make really cool looking dinosaur figures for kids, and something that we as collectors can also appreciate, especially when you're creating a Carnotaurus. You are really tugging at my heartstrings, so I've been very much so looking forward to this figure for quite some time. And if you can recall my news video quite a ways back, I had promoted a few of their figures that they were going to be releasing, so there's quite a few more that they are releasing as well, and I am excited beyond belief for each and every one of them. I actually have their Spinosaurus and Tyrannosaurus on the way as well, so those reviews will be up very soon. But again, this one is a really cool looking Carnotaurus. I love the crouching position to the figure overall. It's a very different look to the Carnotaurus than most figures that we usually see, with the positioning of the Carnotaurus kind of crouching down, and it looks like it's coming up for a bite of something. Maybe a dinosaur it's a little bit bigger it's trying to take down. Something along those lines. Definitely looks like it's coming in maybe for like a kill shot to the neck or something of a dinosaur. But I think the positioning of the body is really cool, really dynamic looking pose on the figure. And they've done a really great job of kind of sculpting out details that would be showing up for the positioning of the body, like the skin movement and the really nicely flexed leg muscles with the crouching position. It would really be using a lot of leg strength to hold itself up and kind of lunge up at whatever dinosaur it is trying to take down. So really nice doses of realism, and they've done a good job of paying close attention to the things that would actually be occurring at this point in time when it comes to the positioning of the body. So definitely nicely done in that aspect, and all of the very fine detailing is really beautiful overall. I think they've done a really good job of just generally giving us a very appealing looking figure here. The paint job is also really nicely done, and I'm a huge fan of this paint scheme. I loved it on the Dinosaurius Sideshow Carnotaurus because it was very similar to this. Not exact, but definitely similar as far as the paint scheme that they had gone with. So this is kind of like an ode to that figure, I think, as far as the paint scheme goes. It definitely seems like it may have been some of the inspiration for the paint scheme, and I really do like that aspect of the figure as well. And the tones of color they've used are just pretty much picture perfect for a Carnotaurus. Really beautiful overall, and all of the paint looks really nice and natural on the figure. Nothing really looks like paint on a figure for the most part, I feel like, at all. It really does look like body color. So this Carnotaurus from Dazmers Toys is a 100% win, especially if it's something that you're going to be buying for your kids, because again, that soft squishy feel will absolutely not harm any kids if they happen to get a little rough playing with them. But even, again, for a collector like me, still a really highly detailed figure, and definitely a really welcome piece into my collection. A beautiful release from Dazmers Toys. Now, having two of their figures, I am still just as impressed now with this figure as I was with their initial Velociraptor. And again, really nicely sized. I'm very impressed overall with the size department of the figure. So if you would like to pick this up, this figure is on Amazon right now and actually only costs about $18 or $19, something along those lines. So I will include a link in the description for you to head over to Amazon and pick this up from the Amazon Dazmers Toys store. Definitely worth a purchase. Again, a Carnotaurus at this size for the $18 range is definitely okay by me. So make sure you check the description, go buy yourself this or any of the other Dazmers Toys dinosaur figures, and make sure you also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.